There was a laundry list of injuries coming out of Chiefs training camp practice on day 17. I'm here to get you caught up, plus some highlights from practice on today's KCSN Update presented by DraftKings.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome into today's KCSN Update presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Tucker Franklin. Super stoked to be back with you guys, getting you caught up on everything you need to know about the Kansas City Chiefs following their first practice back from their first preseason game against the New Orleans Saints, where they did suffer a loss, but we got to see some really great things. If you haven't checked out the content we already have up on KC Sports Network, go check it out. Our live post-game show, we got our 10 Things with BJ Kissel on there. Also, the KC Laboratory was live on Monday night, breaking everything down they saw, kind of cleaning up the game, cleaning up some of the thoughts, emptying their notebooks, if you will, on what they thought from the game. So make sure to go check those out, those great podcasts and videos. Wherever you're watching this video, really appreciate you guys dropping a like, hitting that subscribe on this video. But as I mentioned at the top, there was a lot of injuries. I had to break out the notebook. I'm going to be looking down at my notes because, listen, there's a lot that's been going on, and I had to get it right for you. I wanted to get the timeline down right. So first, let's start at the beginning of practice, where we had the usual suspects were sitting out of practice. So Matt Derrick reported at the beginning of practice, Kadarius Toney, Jody Fortson, L'Jarius Sneed, Tershawn Wharton, and Nick Jones were not practicing. Obviously, Chris Jones not practicing as well, as he's still not with the team, but Mike Edwards was at practice with no pads or a helmet and was at practice. Good sign to see him out there. He was dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. We did get an update later in the press conference, but those guys, Kadarius Toney, Jody Fortson, L'Jarius Sneed, Tershawn Wharton, and Nick Jones, all not practicing after Sunday's game. During Sunday's game, actually, Nick Jones broke a couple fingers, had some fractured fingers, is what Coach Reed says. So we'll see how long that takes him out, if it will affect his spot on the roster at all. I would be interested to see. Maybe he could club him up and play with a wrapped hand as a D-back. You see a lot of guys do that. Maybe that would be important for him, especially in terms of making this roster as a special teams guy. Could be very important. So now let's get into practice, right? So we're in practice. We're in the thick of it. And the Chiefs had a few wide receivers leave practice early with some injuries. First one being Nico Remigio, standout on Sunday's game. And he played really well in Sunday's game. One of the most exciting guys to watch. But he left early with a shoulder injury. It first appeared to be an upper body. Left with the trainer to the tent. He went up on a cart. Now, when I say left on a cart, don't freak out. He was in the passenger seat. If you've ever been out to St. Joe, and I've tried to stress this a whole lot, if you've ever been out to St. Joe, huge hill that goes all the way up for those guys to get back to their dorm rooms and where they're at, and back to the facility, essentially, where they can go and get more advanced treatment. It's a long hill to walk up if you're feeling it. So they tossed him in the car. They took him up. A little bit later, Ihmir Smith-Marsette and Justyn Ross both left on the cart as well. Justyn Ross, you might have seen some tweets on social media about it. He did leave on the cart, but again, that front seat of the cart, nothing to worry about there. I think that everything would be okay. I know some people had rash reactions to left on a cart. Understandable. That's kind of it's a scary thing to read, especially after Justyn Ross got his first NFL touchdown on Sunday in a great pass there and a great slant route getting into the end zone. Thought Justyn Ross played really well. Got to see some of that hype in real life. That was awesome to see from Justyn Ross there. But both Ihmir Smith-Marsette, Justyn Ross, and Nico Remigio were taken off the field in a cart. But don't panic. I think everything will be fine. We'll get a little updates later after practices. Coach Reed came to the podium and he said, hey, look, he gave some injury updates on Justyn Ross, saying he had a knee/hamstring/shin. So a lower body injury. We're getting into hockey types of injuries here. A lower body injury for Justyn Ross. I'm sure more information will come out about that Justyn Ross injury. But as of now, as the recording of this podcast, that's all the information we have. That it's a leg of some sort Justyn Ross has. Not even lower leg, because hamstring's kind of upper knee to shin. It's literally the whole leg. So we're going to be keeping our eye on that here at KC Sports Network. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss anything that we got going on. We'll be keeping you up to date, so make sure you get us there. Ihmir Smith-Marsette strained his groin. That's why he left practice a little early. And Nico Remigio, maybe the most unfortunate one out of him, dislocated his shoulder during practice today, so that is a tough one. to swallow as well, especially when he was having such a good training camp, such a good preseason game too. I was excited to watch him play in those 2 other preseason games, just kind of see what he had. See what he had to have in the tank. Maybe see if the Chiefs wanted to stick him around for a little bit. Maybe stick him on the practice squad if he was able to get through waivers. I know the KC Lab guys have had a lot of discussions about that, but Nico Remigio, a very interesting candidate for the Chiefs, might be placed on IR. And a guy that was placed on IR, now, we could talk about if this ends the season or not. I think there's some technicalities there where he can still play because of how he's classified as a free agent. It's a lot of minutia details, a lot of thick weeds there that we don't necessarily have to get into. But Jody Fortson was placed on the injured reserve as well with a shoulder dislocation. So if you're like me, you thought, oh, Jody Fortson was just placed on the IR with a shoulder dislocation. Might seem like Nico Remigio is going to be headed for the IR as well. That's just speculation. I'm not reporting that. I'm not telling you guys that that's what's happening. But looking at kind of what happened with Jody, what's going on with Nico, there might be something there. But it was confirmed that Nico did have a shoulder separation. We didn't know Jody had a shoulder separation until today, when Andy Reid stepped up to the podium and said, I wrote it down, quote, he's having his shoulder done. That's what Andy Reid said about Jody Fortson. He's having his shoulder done and he's going on the injured reserve. It sucks to see that for Jody, honestly. Hate that he can't stay healthy, because when he's on the field, he's so fun. He is so fun for this Kansas City Chiefs offense to use in those 13-12 personnel type of deal with multiple tight ends. He's a very fun guy for the Chiefs to use. So it's disappointing that he will now no longer, barring anything else, I should say. This could be the end of the road for Jody Fortson in Kansas City, sadly. I hate to see it because the guy, loved to watch him play, but the injury concerns were always a concern when it comes to Jody Fortson. But want to see him get healthy and get back on there. But that is the injury update. He was placed on the injury reserve, as I mentioned. Jody Fortson, who created a couple of spaces. Anthony Witherspoon, you might have heard of him. He got hurt in Sunday's game as well. He was injury waived, so the Chiefs had 2 open roster spots for some signings that they could bring into camp, some guys they could bring into camp. So they brought in 2 guys with Olakule Fatukasi. I think I nailed that pronunciation, by the way. I've been practicing. I don't know if you could tell. A linebacker out of Rutgers. And they brought in cornerback Deron Lowe, who KCK kid from the area. Deron Lowe getting a shot with Chiefs at Chiefs camp. So very exciting for those 2 guys there as the Chiefs get ever so closer to their second preseason game, a short week on a Saturday. We'll have you covered here at KC Sports Network, so make sure you subscribe, obviously. And they get closer to that roster cut day of August 29th. So hopefully the injury bug stays away a little bit longer for the Kansas City Chiefs as they get to make this roster, make those cuts, and we get to see these guys in that second preseason game. That's what I'm most excited about, is seeing these guys in that second preseason game and seeing how they. But let us know in the comment section below what you think about this injury news, injury stuff. I mean, it's never fun. I hate talking about injuries, especially during training camp. It sucks. It really does. Let me know in the comment section below what your concern level is about the Justyn Ross injury. All indications say that it seemed that he'll be okay. Precautionary reasons he left practice today. But want to make sure that he's right, that he's ready for the season. I totally understand getting that, putting him out there on the card. Fine. If he doesn't practice the rest of the time, that's okay. Just make sure he's healthy for the season. Sounds like that he's going to be a part of the offense, so I want to make sure he's healthy for the season. All right, now let's get into the highlights from day 17 of practice out there at training camp. First, let's get down to the team session, the first team session that they do. This is Patrick Mahomes finding Jerick McKinnon on a route that we've seen a whole lot from the Kansas City Chiefs. He gets in there for 6. Jet does right there. Very good play. I think we're going to see this a whole lot this year. Mahomes to McKinnon for 6. That was not an odd combination last season, as Jerick McKinnon, I believe, had more touchdown receptions than Justin Jefferson. That's quite a company to be in there for Jerick McKinnon. Next, let's move on. The same team session here. Blaine Gabbert finds Cornell Powell in the end zone during red zone. Good ability by Blaine Gabbert there to kind of evade some pressure. Step up, make a throw to Cornell Powell. Cornell Powell sticks with it, hangs through it. Some traffic there. Kind of threw the ball a little bit behind him, Blaine Gabbert did, but he was able to make the catch. Great play by Cornell Powell. Next, let's get to this play from Mahomes to Rashee Rice during a little red zone period as well. Patrick Mahomes drops back, finds Rashee Rice on this pass. And again, another catch through traffic. Rashee Rice has shown a really good ability to maintain these catches through traffic when something that, he didn't really look like he had that ability in college. Now he's looking like a very different receiver with Patrick Mahomes and company in Kansas City. Absolutely have loved to see his development and what he's been able to do in the first preseason game and all of the training camp practices leading up to these preseason. Next, let's go to the one-on-one session. This is Keandre Coburn going up against Austin Ryder, a Super Bowl winning center. Keandre Coburn, there's some good things from both the guys here. This is what I love about the one-on-one drill. You can see some really good stuff from both guys here. I think Keandre Coburn wins early, but Austin Ryder's really able to adjust his hand placement there, stick with it a little bit. Coburn obviously getting a huge push, which is obviously going to help him, but both guys having a good rep there. I think that's what you love to see if you're both offensive line and defensive line coach. You're going to tell Keandre, hey, like great push, great way to win early. Now let's win again. And if you're Austin Ryder, good way to recover, but let's not give up that much ground. Good rep from both guys there. And let's wrap up with this one. Oh, a play we've seen before and a play we're going to see again, I promise. This is Mahomes with Travis Kelce. Back shoulder little ball right here. I think this is a really good ball from Patrick Mahomes. Finding Travis Kelce, puts it where only his guy can get it. I'm excited to see these two guys go off for a little bit. Can't wait to see these guys in the regular season. We probably won't see them in these last two games very much, but nevertheless, good to see them connect here in practice. So that's going to do it for today's KCSN update video. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you did, you already know, drop that lock in the comment section below. And like and subscribe. When you subscribe, you become a first teamer here at KCSN. With roster cuts coming down, you want to be a first teamer. So really appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end of the video. I'll be back again with another video giving you the updates when it happens. That's why you subscribe to KC Sports Network, because we got all the good stuff for you coming out here, from live shows to podcasts to these update videos. Subscribe to us. I'll be back soon. I'll talk to you guys soon.